number one music and beer podcast in the world.
In the entire world. And now we're on episode 4.
And it's episode 4 of that podcast.
What's that podcast called?
It's called Friends Talking Music with Beer.
That's right. With your hosts, Matt Miller.
And Gator Webb here.
And Gator Webb.
Yeah.
That's right. What are we talking about today, Gator Webb?
Today, we're talking about something a bit new. That's different for us. I don't think we've reviewed a new album. Well, I guess we did our favorites of 2016.
Yeah.
But this is a kind of more of just a standard new album to talk about.
Only came out about a month ago.
Yep.
We're talking about the world's best American band.
White Reaper.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so, and if you didn't pick up on that, White Reaper is a band, and they have released their sophomore effort?
Third.
This
is actually their third studio album.
Okay, their third studio album called The World's Best American Band.
That's right. It was released April 7th, so just about a month ago.
Just about a month. We're a little late, like always, but...
Yeah, so we've been up on White Reaper for a little while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Matt, how many times have you seen them?
So now I've seen them live 3 times.
Okay, and this was my second time. We should say that we saw them down in Cincinnati 2 weekends ago. They're on a tour right now, and if you have a chance to go see that, highly recommend it.
It's always a great show. We saw them at the Madison Theater.
Mm-hmm.
It was an amazing show.
Yeah.
Before we get too much into it, should we talk about the beer we're drinking?
This is the number one beer and music podcast in the world. So, Matt, this was once again another great choice by you. It is a very local brewery, Seventh Son, right here in Columbus, Ohio.
Yep.
And what we're drinking today is their Proliferous Double India Pale Ale.
Yeah, it's pretty boozy, 8.2%, but very drinkable.
That's I just remarked on that. Like, I've been drinking this can maybe for the past like 10, 15 minutes, and it's just like even though it's very strong, it goes down smooth. If you're not an IPA drinker, this is maybe a good one for you.
Yeah, it's very drinkable, like a little bit fruity, but not in a bad way, not overly fruity, just kind of like summery and light. Mm-hmm. I really enjoy that aspect.
A great cast of supporting hops.
Yeah, that's right. Did they mention what kind of hops are in this?
I don't know.
No. A little bit of pine, a little tropical fruit, citrus. It's very nice, very pleasing.
It's rich golden, crisp color. I like it a lot.
Good summer. We got a nice day outside.
It's about 87 degrees here. It's a great summer beer. If you can get your hands, if you're not from Columbus, and you can get your hands on the Seventh Son Proliferous, highly recommend it.
Or come to Columbus and check it out.
Yeah, come to Columbus.
Yeah, they have a great tap room. Anyways.
Yeah, so beer out of the way. So I guess let's start jumping into the music here.
Yeah, we're going to go through each song again. There's definitely some big themes that we want to talk about. This is a really interesting album, I think, in terms of where rock music is right now, especially the music that we listen to and have been reviewing recently.
Yeah. Kind
of where things are. This is a change of pace, I think.
Yeah, it's like when you think about rock music, what do you think about, Matt? Like, if someone says...
Are you asking me?
Yeah, Matt.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Like, so the first thing, like, I think of rock music in terms of, like, what person, like, or band do you think is rock music? Mm-hmm. So I kind of think of, like, the Hendrix kind of, like, because I think rock is kind of like an attitude, just as much as, like, any kind of music, because it kind of is a full range spectrum of musical styles and influences. Mm-hmm. But I think White Reaper kind of embodies some of the elements of rock, at least
with this new album, they have definitely created a tremendous homage or throwback, or maybe even a new kind of wave of rock. Like,
yeah,
I would classify this album as like straight up like rock and roll.
Yeah,
maybe. I mean, there's some purists out there who are probably shaking their head. Like,
I don't know,
but.
It definitely touches on enough, like rock and roll that you can't say it's
got the kind of garagey. We have been playing in our like parents' house, put this together, kind of garage rock vibe, but also that throwback sound to classic rock greats that I'm sure we all grew up with, sort of the dad rock sound or whatnot. And,
yeah,
and they combine those two without losing some of their earlier like punk influences, I believe, and it all meshes together for a truly unique sound in today's like music scape.
That's what I would say is really unique, is that they kind of captured like the musicianship that's been kind of lost recently, I think, in rock music.
And it's musicianship, and also like it's ballsy to call your album you call yourself the world's best American band. Like that's kind of the bravado that kind of goes with the rock band.
And not only that, but they back it up too. And it's still like 10 songs, 31 minutes, like
it doesn't overstay its welcome.
Exactly. Yeah, so it's kind of like a weird blend hybrid. But do you want to get into the songs?
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll talk about
some
of these themes a little bit more as we go.
So we have the title track here. The world's best American band kicks it off.
Right away, it's like very like like a Marshall stack, like crunch. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
just that pure old rock notes.
And it is they do during this song they have like a backing like stadium crowd kind of cheering.
I don't know how you feel about that, but it really, I don't like it when bands add the live
like
sounds,
this live noise. Yeah, in general, I guess I can't think of like a counterexample, but I thought this really fit well.
You thought
with
it was
the
tastefully
themes.
done?
Yeah.
I mean,
they're calling themselves the world's best American band.
You know, I think you're kind of changing my mind about it now. It's like thinking, like I said earlier, kind of about the bravado of it. It's like we're gonna freaking put the crowd cheering in here. Yeah, of course.
And it is like, it's almost like stadium rock. They almost get like the stadium rock vibe with the still kind of like garage feel.
You could hear, if you close your eyes and visualize that, you could hear them playing like Nationwide Arena here or something,
some
like
big venue or something.
Some big venue.
They definitely have it. And it's like a little bit of like Van Halen-ish, I think. I don't know. How did you hear that?
I just know that it had some just excellent guitar hooks in here, which probably goes with your Halen thing. Yeah, but and I think that's another thing that's been lost a lot in modern rock music, or has rock, like the bands have diverged so much, and there's so much music to digest. Like what we've been listening to sort of loses those kind of lead guitars and the hooks and the interesting sort of, it's a very classic rock.
That's what I was trying to, when I say like the musicianship of it, like kind of like, just like someone who's really good at playing guitar and like a sick guitar solo. Yeah. Like they bring that back,
and that's exemplified not only in this first song but throughout the entire album. Yeah, sick hooks, great riffs, accompanied by excellent like piano, keyboard, and even though Anthony Fantano may not agree, I think Tony's vocals actually really sell this band.
Like, he didn't like it?
No, he didn't like it.
Oh, man. Dude. Yeah. I think this screeches, like, I called it like a yowl. I don't know what it is, but...
I think he has a very unique voice, and I think that without him, if it was a different singer that maybe was classically better, or what you would consider just... like objectively,
it wouldn't be the same.
It wouldn't. Like he's good with his flaws, and he can still hit all those notes, and he has that like growl with the high pitched,
the whatever high pitched like scream, like
yop,
whatever
the yop,
the yop, whatever you want to call it. That's like pretty spectacular. I don't know how someone's able to do that. I think also in this song, like they kind of established some of the themes with the lyrics. I thought especially lace your boots and crush your pills. Yeah. So that kind of like
is all rock and roll,
kind of like an 80s throwback, it's kind of
drugs,
sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Yeah, for sure. Anything else on this one that jumped out?
I think it's a good opener, but I do think the second song is the best on the entire album.
Yeah, one of the singles, and it is, it's amazing.
And kind of going back to his voice, like during the chorus of this song, when he you know what I'm talking about when you hear it, but like when he does that kind of like just guttural scream, like it's not even a scream. I don't know, like whatever that noise is, he does it good.
We're gonna be searching for that word the entire podcast, probably.
We apologize.
The second song is Judy French, and the way he's like he reaches for the words with that kind of yip or yowl is just it adds a dynamic that the songs really would be. Well, I don't want to say they would be completely flat without it, but it takes it to the next level.
Yeah, and this album is mixed in such a way that his voice, like it's all mixed, so everything I think gets the amount of volume it deserves. Essentially, nothing overpowers each other. Everything is mixed well in a way that everything melds.
So we could talk about that. I think as part of their evolution. Yeah, if you wanted to get into that, so I think they kind of. When they get classified a lot as like a garage rock band initially before this album, I think, because they do have kind of like a lo-fi sound. It sounds like, kind of, it's not overly produced for sure. This is an example, I think, at least, where they took the production level to the next level. They kind of stepped it up for sure. And it worked out really well. Yeah. Like, it got them to where they wanted to be. And I think, like, not every band does that. I think sometimes you just step up the production.
Think of Joyce Manor. Like, their most recent album, Cody, was just each one has been a jump up in production value, but this newest one was just so, like, overly produced for what they are. It just was... it was bad.
Yeah, it's, like, overproduced when it didn't need to be, Yeah. But really, White Reaper is kind of, like, adding production value in a way that... makes them sound better, and not only that, but makes them achieve the goal that they had, I think, with this album, kind of making it sound like, because when you think of like 80s rock, it is like kind of like produced in a way that it's like sounds like perfect, it's like trying to capture a perfect sound. It's like a little bit opulent in that way. And I think that was kind of their goal. They wanted to do something like that, and they were able to accomplish it through the production. If that makes sense.
No, I totally agree with that. Yeah. And kind of going back to that evolution on this song is one of the first times where you can really hear the new role of the keyboard in White Reaper.
That's another interesting aspect of the evolution.
In their older stuff, especially their sophomore album, if they have three.
It is White Reaper self-titled. Then White Reaper does it again.
Okay, So their second album, there's just that lead synth throughout a lot of the songs that really just is on top of everything. This one you don't hear on this album. You hardly hear that at all, and I really like that direction. I feel like that's kind of a one-trick pony if they were to keep just having that crazy synth lead in front all the time. And this song starts it, and then throughout the rest of the album, like, you have those great supporting keys in the background.
Yeah.
Like,
what I liked is that the synth sound changed. It was a little bit like, I would call it like spooky before. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like,
especially house. Like,
especially like Friday the 13th kind of sound. That's what I think of off their album, White Reaper Does It Again. Yeah. The synth sound definitely changed to be more like an 80s, almost like organ vibe on some of the songs. That at least that I noticed. Sometimes a little bit like, I don't know, bluesy or... And
sometimes, like, I would highly recommend listening to this album with a nice pair of over-the-ear headphones on, because it's, like, there's so much going on, like, to hear everything is totally worth it.
Yeah. Because the instruments are such an important part of what they're doing. Even, like, the guitar that you might not notice at first is kind of doing a little palm muted riff that really plays well into everything else.
And speaking of, just I guess the last note on Judy French.
Yeah.
Great single. Probably what I think is the best song on. Go listen to this if you don't listen to anything else at all. Like,
I think this song is a good way to get into the album. So if you listen to any song, I would say Judy
if you're
French,
on the fence,
you might get into it.
But yeah, talking about kind of things you might not hear or like pay attention to too much. The third song on here, Eagle Beach, That bass line is awesome. Just really drives this song.
Yeah.
And I think if you weren't kind of tuned in with your headphones on, you might not pay attention, or you would lose that. But,
yeah.
Like all the instruments like come together so well in all these songs, like, and they all don't overpower each other. Like, it's just great. It's
the kind of spacing they have is really good. Like, there will be, I think it's kind of like a punchy bass. That's how I'm kind of thinking of it. Like, it's kind of like a picked bass instead of like a finger strum. And it kind of like, they will let it sit by itself for a little while, lay the guitar and synth back, and then bring up the melody. That it's a really good balance.
And also probably by this third song, you'll have noticed that each of these last three songs has been entirely different from each other, and that continues through the rest of the album. They do a great job of not settling on a single like song like structure or single sound. They really mix it up each time, and that's appreciated for sure.
What are the lyrics in Eagle Beach about? I mean, like, overall, like, what would you say about the lyricism? Like, it's not.
You asked me about the lyrics, and when I sat down to write my notes for this, I had the lyric sheet out with me. I didn't think any of them were so mind blowing or so like interesting that I had to comment on them further than just they do a good job. They kind of capture that rock and roll ethos. It's kind of that
they capture the theme.
They capture the themes. They're serviceable. I wouldn't say they're bad or anything. But like not even mediocre. Like they're good rock lyrics. But if you sit down and read them, they're not going to change your mind or make you have some sort of great epiphany or anything. So. So you asked me that question. I really can't say what the lyrics were about because I didn't take too many.
I didn't either. This one in particular, it just struck me like, what is he talking about? I didn't know.
Yeah, but like I said, it's rock music. You don't always need to.
I didn't need to. You know.
Yeah, it exists on its own without having to know what the lyrics are. Essentially,
that's kind of the beautiful thing about it. I think. All right, number 4.
This is one we disagree about.
Yeah. So why didn't you like Little Silver Cross as much as the other song?
I think I can see what they were trying to do. Have a bit of a slower start here, and I do agree that when the song does pick up, it does keep that catchy hook.
Yeah.
But I think that it takes too long to get there. Essentially. I find it a little boring, this song. It takes a little too long to get started.
Yeah.
And then when it does get started, it goes back to the part that I didn't like to begin with.
Gotcha.
So that I think it's a fine song. I just think it's probably the weakest of the track list.
Okay. I think that's a fair evaluation. I do like that synth lead that it just kind of like builds you up and brings you in, kind of swells. I enjoyed that part. So it drew me in. It's not necessarily guitar hook that draws you in, but I think it does. You're right. When it picks up, it does really pick up. It has some energy, especially there's a neat little guitar solo. It's not very long, but you know, in the guitar solos too, there's kind of like some tapping elements. That's kind of like 80s type style. They do really cool stuff with their instruments. Yeah, I mean it's kind of underappreciated now, but I think it's
as cool. A quote unquote garage band. Like they definitely pull out some great licks and some great like noodling around and stuff. For
sure. All right. I know you don't want to spend too much time on that.
I mean, if you want to talk about it, we can talk about it.
I don't have that much more to say.
All right. So, okay, next song, The Stack. And I do like The Stack. I think it's the transition into this song is quick and much needed. Yeah. Because, like I said, I kind of get put to sleep by Little Silver Cross. And this is kind of, I think, a tonal shift. Yeah. Where we get sort of an even older rock vibe than like classic rock. Yeah. Like I remember when I was listening to this most recently, I was like, I could see this in some movie like Grease with a bunch of like greasers and like girls in the skirts or whatever.
Oh yeah,
like dancing in a high school gym to this song.
It's like clearly and overly dance type anthem.
Yeah, I mean the lyrics in this one are about like dancing and stuff, and if you
make the girls dance, the boys will dance with them.
Yeah, exactly.
It is what it says it wants to be.
And again, the piano kind of has that like 1950s like bam, bam, bam,
yeah.
It's a great throwback song, like from what we've even been listening to so far. I like this stack a lot.
Swing influences.
Yeah,
it's a very enjoyable song.
And White Reaper totally shows that they once again can bring this old style to today and keep their general aesthetics, but adopt this older kind of sound.
It's kind of like that style is still relevant. It still means something to someone, and they're enough to play music about it, and that's a pretty cool thing. I think it gets kind of lost a little bit into what people are listening to today. I think.
Yeah, it's truly unique for sure.
Yeah.
But anything else you thought about the stack?
No, I think we nailed it.
Yeah. And then I think that continues on until the next song, "Party Next Door," another like greaser ass song.
Yeah.
Like this one is pure rock and roll. Like, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I thought the lyrics were the most interesting in this one.
Out of all of them?
Yeah, out of all of them.
This is the one that kind of, it doesn't rhyme quite as much. It's more...
It's like a little bit of like a story. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if it's like a real story or not, but it's interesting enough to think about it.
Yeah.
Like he's kind of sitting on a porch with his buddies, watching this party happen, and that's something I think we can relate to, being on a college campus. And like some kid gets frustrated and he has a gun and he
starts shooting it.
Starts shooting at
Thankfully,
people.
we've never witnessed that.
Never witnessed quite that. Have witnessed some fights. Outside some people's houses, but he almost is like, like gives the shooter like kind of like this treatment where he's kind of like, I don't know how I want to say it. He's like almost praising him, like he's like speaking highly of him in a way that's a little weird. And then he actually addresses that sentiment in I think it's the second verse where he says that stuff's poetic sometimes, like he's trying to like explain himself. But I just thought of all the lyrics in this album, this is the one that stuck out a little bit.
Okay,
to me.
that's interesting. Like I said, I didn't pay too much attention to the lyrics beyond just reading them as I was listening. But you make a good case.
And the thing is, I wouldn't have noticed it unless I was reading the lyrics as I listened. Like that's another aspect of this too, where I don't think his vocals are so. It's a little bit hard to understand him at times.
It's because he has that distortion on his voice, like just as like an effect. But then, he doesn't always enunciate as much, or kind of make it.
And that's fine. Like I'm not critiquing that part of it, but I wouldn't have noticed the lyrics in this one at first for that reason. And I think it plays well. Like it's obviously a great rock song otherwise. Yeah. But I just thought that added another dimension for me as I was looking at the lyrics.
Right, and then this is another one we kind of disagree on. You said Crystal Pistol, not quite one of your favorites. Yeah,
not one of my favorites. I guess I don't have... I thought... I was reading the lyrics again. This kind of, I thought, was a letdown after Party Next Door.
Lyrically or just overall?
I would say... that's mostly related to the lyrics. I don't think it's a bad song. I think it's a great, little guitar riff. Yeah. It's catchy, it gets stuck in your head. But after something that interested me lyrically, this one...
it's hard to follow.
Yeah. It's somewhat forgettable lyrically, but I mean, it's still, like, it's about the catchy, cool riffs.
Yeah, and it does that just as well as anything else on the album.
And this does... It does capture the kind of classic rock vibes well too. But anything else on Crystal Pistol?
I don't have much more to say now.
Yeah, because I like the next one a lot.
Yeah, I do have to say something about Tell Me. Once again, just keep mixing up that sound, and this one kind of pulls us back out of that where I would say we were kind of in that older sound at this point. It pulls us back out, and we get this really fuzzed out like guitar rock here. Like it's so fuzzy, and we haven't heard that tone out of the guitar yet on this album.
The bass and guitar kind of play off each other really, really well in this one.
Yeah.
And then the drums also, after the first couple riffs, they kind of establish, what the song is. Then the drums kind of lay back on the cymbals and let the guitar and bass like really play on each other, and it just comes alive.
It's a very instrument heavy song, and they just simple, great rock song. Fuzzed out. Really like it, especially after you might be getting a little tired of the sound of the last few songs. Even though each are different and catchy in their own ways, it kind of is like a snap awake.
This is a great one to like if you're just riding around in your car, just like throw the windows down and blast this one. And it's kind of like the whole vibe of this album is kind of like ride around and play it loud, but this one especially
great summer. We talk about like album seasons. This is a great spring summer album.
This is like first day that it's nice kind of, and it goes along with the timing too. Like April is kind of when it's getting nice, especially in the Midwest. Like they kind of like nailed the timing of it really. And this Tell Me also has a neat little guitar solo too. Definitely worth listening to and paying attention to the guitar solos in this album.
If you're interested in guitar at all, for sure, just check out these licks, man. They're awesome. And Daisy's next song, this is one we were talking about how the keyboards have been taking a backseat role. This is one where they're back in the front.
It is a catchy little synth riff. Like kind of a little poppy, I think, but it is a nice synth riff. The rest of the song, I felt, especially the guitar kind of playing in the back, I thought that whatever sound was there was a little grating to me. Like really? It wasn't quite. I didn't enjoy it as much as the other songs, at least.
I thought that this song had maybe the second or third best like chorus or hook on the entire album. I found it very, very catchy. I love this song. Which is great too, because I remember listening at first and you hit like Little Silver Cross, and I was like, oh, is this going to be sort of a front-loaded album? Like the first few songs are good, but like it's sprinkled throughout. You have some great songs, and even towards the very end here, like the penultimate song is like just so catchy, so like memorable. Like it's going to be stuck in your head. They do a great job of the order, like ordering the songs. Definitely the energy. Like, there's only 10 songs, so it's not too much. But there's always, like, if you're kind of, like, skipping through or not really paying attention to one song, the next one's going to bring up the... And you said in the last song, Tell Me, like, you like how the guitar and the bass sort of play off each other. In this one, I think the guitar and the keys play off each other really well. Like, if you can sit down and just hone in on that, it's a really interesting dynamic going on there.
I think it merits another listen for me, for sure. One of the things that I thought of, at least during this song, is that this isn't really... It kind of ties into how the vocal delivery of Tony's vocals on this album and in general, but this isn't really like a sing-along album to me in the way that we both
no, that'd be really hard to sing along.
Oh yeah, well first of all, it's just like it would be really difficult, but second of all, like the lyrics aren't like something that it's just like has to be sung necessarily, kind of in the way that we enjoyed on the Impossible Past,
I was
where
just about to bring that up.
It has like the same kind of energy that White Reaper has, but I'm also like screaming the lyrics that I know at the top of my lungs. It doesn't have that element, but it still brings the energy.
What do you think makes that happen?
Yeah, like I said, I think it's part of like the vocal delivery. Is like it's just kind of hard to understand.
Can I sing that?
Yeah, but part of it is also, I think, like the lyrics themselves. Like, I mean, I think we talked about it when we did on the Impossible Past album review, but it's just kind of like just how the lyrics are so passionate and like genuine and like something completely relatable that makes you want to yell about it.
With Menzingers it's relatable. Like it's like you can put yourself in those situations. Yeah. But with White Reaper, they're not always like
it's almost fantastic situations or
it's rock.
It's
rock and roll. It's like a grandiose sort of.
Exactly.
That's an interesting point. I don't see myself like singing along, but I at least feel myself humming these tunes.
Yeah, and just rocking out. I mean, that counts for a lot, I think.
Most definitely.
Last song on the album.
Yeah, last song.
Another Day. What'd you think? I don't think we talked.
I thought this was interesting because getting back now, I do know the lyrics. Is this the first instance of actual swearing and explicit? I guess it's not the first mention of drugs. No. That is on the first song.
Yeah.
But all these other ones have been sort of tamer, I guess, or like.
Yeah.
But this last song just really is just about like drugs.
Very explicit.
Yeah. I think it's funny that they've saved the last song to really get into like the drug culture of rock and roll. And like
it's interesting.
Yeah.
Did you think that maybe this one was one of the first ones that they wrote? Like, did you have like a little bit? Of
it sounds like their older stuff for sure.
That's
it's just,
what
like,
I thought.
Really fuzzed, like really distorted-y.
Yeah.
Kind of the production value kind of gets brought down a bit.
Yeah.
And I can definitely see it being on, like, it could be on one of their older albums for sure.
Right. Like, this was like it's weird how they structured the album because this is the last one and it feels like the transition song, but it's at the very end of this.
The very end, and it's a throwback.
Yeah.
And
that's cool.
It's
quick.
It's a good end to the album. It doesn't overstay its welcome, and then it's over.
Like, yeah. It has that kind of like garage punk feel that they had previously where it's just like to the point, and I think even the lyrics kind of hit on that kind of like it's just like energetic, get to the point, but he does still have, you can feel the transition to the new album a little bit, and he does some kind of the vocal like screechy stuff too, so you can kind of, it's interesting how you can almost see the transition from this one to some of the newer songs.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great wrap up. It's a great throwback to their old sound. Maybe that's what they're trying to do. This whole album has been a throwback to older sounds, and they're like, well, we're going to throw back to our old sound.
Oh, that would be cool.
It's an interesting thought, man.
Yeah. I mean, that's the entire album.
Yeah.
We hit it pretty quick. Definitely catch them live if you can.
That's kind of what I want to start hitting on now. Both times I've seen them, I remember the first time we saw them, like, it was an outdoor kind of music. It wasn't a festival, but it was like it was a music event at a bar. They had like 10 or so different bands from around the country kind of coming in.
Yeah.
And I remember they were so loud when they were doing like their sound test, and then the guy was just like, "We're like, can you turn it up, please?" Like, he's like, "We're really fucking loud," and they turned it up. Like, it was just so loud, but everybody was so into it. Like, they have great stage presence and energy. Like,
I remember specifically in that show, the keyboardist getting into the crowd and pushing people.
Yeah, exactly. Like, on the songs he wasn't playing, he wasn't just standing there. He was like a very active member of the band. And there were like these kids who were too young to get in on the side, like by the fence, and he was like going over and like talking to them, and like getting them riled up and stuff. Like, definitely they embody that. Like, we're a rock band. Like, we play loud, we play hard, and like it's all about fun essentially.
In the sound, I was surprised a little bit when I saw them most recently that it was still kind of the same kind of like mosh pit.
Yeah,
vibe.
Exactly. I didn't think that they, like, given the new sounds of like kind of the classic rocky type feel, I was like, oh, there won't be much of a mosh pit. Yeah. But like, there was.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I tore my jacket that night, man. It sucked.
Oh, did you? That's sad.
Very sad. I hope I get a new one.
It was well worth it though. Hopefully.
It was. Rest in peace, jacket.
Yeah.
But.
Because that was a wild show.
It was wild. I was just standing there. I didn't think, and the mosh pit just broke out around me. Like, I was like, well, I guess I have to join now.
Yeah.
I guess I should also mention their opener, this latest one, No Parents. What did you think?
Yeah.
What did you think of No Parents?
I kind of enjoyed them.
I liked
in that moment.
In that moment, I liked them live, but I went to listen to their recorded stuff later. It was a little much for me.
Yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna let that moment where I enjoyed them just sit
there.
Don't. I'm not
gonna
taint it by
don't taint it by listening. Don't go
recorded.
look them up on Spotify.
Yeah.
It's
I don't need to.
but yeah, if you can go see White Reaper, they're on a tour right now.
Yeah.
They didn't sell out, so you can get your tickets the day of. At least in Covington, they weren't sold out.
Yeah. I mean,
they also, like any good rock and roll band, like they don't want their ticket prices to get so ridiculously expensive. They're $10. Like, I don't know when the last time I went to go see a great show for $10 was.
And I actually saw. No, this is Wikipedia, so I don't know how well sourced it is, but. Yeah. This album did like pretty well on like billboards for like vinyl albums, like indie, like kind of like underground rock music. So it's not like they're unheard of. They're definitely not like on the radio as often. Some of their singles are maybe on some radio stations, but
I haven't listened to CD 102.5 recently, so I can't say if they've been played here. But I wouldn't be shocked.
But either way, they're building up some popularity, but still the shows are intimate enough that you get the full experience.
Exactly,
and it's extremely enjoyable. I guess the only question left is this America's best rock band?
Put me on the spot here, Matt.
And we'll let the listener decide.
That's for you to find out, listeners.
Maybe we'll answer it next time.
Yeah.
So tune in.
Yeah. Email us.
Yeah.
FTMB podcast at gmail.com. Tell us what you think.
Yeah. Answer the question in the comments.
Yeah.
There you go. All right.
Anything else we gotta say?
No. Let's call it a wrap, man. That was a great album.
Great album. Great band. Put them on your radar.
For sure.
Yeah.
We out.